everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Language Talks. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Dr. Swati Acharya from Pune, who is a highly experienced professor in German and currently heading the Department of Foreign Languages at the Savitribai Phule Pune University. She has made significant contributions to German language education and literature in esteemed institutions across India and Germany. Dr. Acharya's research areas encompass a wide range of topics. They include images of India in German literature, literature and film, social trends in Germany after reunification, among others. She has to her credit 3 books and numerous publications in research journals published from Germany and India. As the head of the Department of Foreign Languages, she has brought about a lot of changes, signed various MOUs with international universities, and upgraded technical infrastructure of the department, among others. Welcome to the show, Dr. Acharya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lalita. It is an honor for me too, being interviewed by someone who I know in various capacities as a student and then a very active colleague in the language field. So thank you.
Thank you, madam. I'm pleased and honored to talk to you. I would like to start by asking you about you being elected as the first Indian member in the Deutsche Akademie für Sprache und Dichtung. Congratulations, Dr. Acharya. Can you please tell us more?
Yes, with happiness. It is indeed a very happy development, which kind of, just fell in my lap. And I am very, very honored and also humbled by this nomination and selection. You see, rather than talking about how I feel about it, I feel it is a little important to talk about the academy, because to Indian audiences, to Indian readers and those who know a little bit about German language, not everyone knows about this academy. So largely translated, it will be the Deutsche Akademie für Sprache und Dichtung, so German Academy of Language and Literature. See, it was founded on a very important and very, very significant day, 28th of August, 1949. I mean, immediately, those who know Germany, history, etc., we go back to the year 1949, and we know that it was just after the Second World War had ended. And rising from the ashes, literally, that a country gives importance to establishing an academy for literature and language, that itself says a lot. And then why 28th of August? Because it was the 200th birth anniversary of Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And this academy was established in the famous St. Paul Church in Frankfurt, and later on it continued. And in 51, they moved their headquarters, so to say, to a nearby city from Frankfurt called Darmstadt. And it is continuing till now. So who are the members of this academy? They are mainly writers who write in the German language. So one thing which decides the, let's say, the very essence, the raison d'etre, as the French would say, is that it is dedicated exclusively to German language, not language per se, because otherwise it becomes, it goes in all directions. So writers, literary critics, translators, literary translators, of course, literary scholars, German scholars of German studies, to which, for example, I belong, etc., etc. And it is open to every country under the sun where German as a language and its literature are being practiced, respected, and debated upon. So it's a free space for everyone across boundaries, no matter what skin color you have, no matter what mother tongue you speak. So that is very essential. And to be elected here is, of course, a great, great honor, because when I first went through the list of members, it was very overwhelming. You have who's who from German literature there, and that I get to do my little bit there now is a big honor. Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing. As the head of the Department of Foreign Languages at SPPU, how has your experience been so far?
Excellent. I'll tell you one thing. Before I became the head of the entire department, what really mattered to me at that point of time was taking over the coordinatorship from my predecessor, Professor Sunanda Mahajan, in July 2019. She retired in 2019 June. And then that kind of gave me the training about certain things where I was initially apprehensive. Initially, I was unsure. I mean, one is trained to do academic things, but running a department is a lot more than just doing academic things. And as luck would have it, immediately after I took over, there was COVID pandemic from 2020. And that threw me into unprecedented challenges and something which nobody had known before. So there was no question of going to someone and asking, how do I go ahead now? So whether it was, conducting classes online, exams, and various other activities. And I learned one thing during that time, that if one is kind of very determined to do things and one is supported by a lot of people, you can do everything. So I am very proud, and I'm saying this in the name of everyone who contributed to that consistency during the very, very difficult phase of lockdowns and everything, that there was not a single day gap of our lecturing schedule, of our exam schedule, of our cultural activities. I mean, as you would recollect from your student days, we have so many cultural festivals and activities, whether it is the February Fest or other competitions, we did everything online. So I got to know power of two things, power of this thing called online and social media, and power of staying together and working together. And I am so grateful to my colleagues from the department, from other languages also, and the office staff, and above all, the students. Because they were also new to everything, but everyone was kind of, very motivated to try out different things and all those platforms and apps and whatnot. I mean, it was learning a lot. So apart from the challenging times, I think heading the department, I sometimes jokingly say I head 5 departments, because as you know, we are 5 languages: German, French, Russian, Japanese, and Spanish. And each language, I am so lucky, is thriving, absolutely alive and full of enthusiasm and activities. So to run a combined department, which actually is a hidden department of hidden 5 departments, is not easy. At times it becomes challenging. But as I said, I have learned one thing, which is the African principle of Ubuntu. And I love that principle. I have learned so much. I learn every day that I am because all of us are together. Otherwise, that is not possible. So internationalization of the department was the most important thing for me. As you mentioned in the introduction very nicely, various MOUs have happened after I've taken over for each language. And I would like to mention one thing, that in August 23, I took over as the head in January 22. And then in August 23, I finally managed to start MA, a full-fledged MA course for Japanese, which was not there so far. So all 4 languages had everything. They had part-time courses as well as postgraduate master courses. And Japanese, in spite of being there for so long, didn't have this. So somehow it was, pinching me. I said, that has to happen. It is finally there. So next year, 25, May 25 or June, we will have first batch of MA Japanese graduating.
Oh, fantastic.
And each one has international MOUs. The Spanish have their University of Rioja, and Japanese have Kanazawa, and German has Freie Universität Berlin, Goethe Institute Pune. Although we have been working together for many, many decades, but there was no formal MOU. And now it is there. And University of Vienna, Russia has, I mean, the language Russian has RGU in Moscow, and Minin University, and French have their INALCO and University of Montpellier. And so we are all, we are a happy department. working together, learning from each other.
Right. And so many MOUs for so many languages. That's really great.
Yes, yes. No, and I'll tell you one thing which helps making your presence felt in the international scenario. And when we start talking about our activities, our projects, whether they are research projects involving teachers or even students, exchange programs, they are quite surprised. We are lucky in India that multilingualism is not something alien to us. So our students, they learn foreign languages with the ease of, a language enthusiast like anything. So everywhere when I go internationally for conferences and all, they are all kind of complaining that this number of students is decreasing all over the world for languages.
Okay.
And we have exactly the opposite to boast of, happily.
Right. Yeah.
We have
That's such a nice
increasing
thing.
numbers.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Great. You have initiated an annual seminar in the memory of Professor V.B. Kulkarni. In
Yes.
the so please tell us about it.
Of course, of course. That will be something really so close to my heart and important to talk about. You see, everyone knows that Professor B.B. Kulkarni was the founder of the German department, and he was the first PhD from Germany, and he was the first recipient of the famous research fellowship by the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. And he, I mean, one can just go on and on. Because of his vision, because of his dedication and discipline, we are where we are. And I mean, we used to recall his contribution, remember his very gratefully the heritage that we have, and etc., etc. But when I used to see other departments celebrating some memorial lectures or seminars in the name of their heritage scholars, I would feel, no, we have to do something. And luckily, with also very generous support from his own family, we have started, and we have already conducted 3 annual seminars, and now 25 will be the 4th one. And it is really fantastic. Why is it fantastic? Because it follows the vision of Professor Kulkarni that students of the department across languages have to come together and present papers, debate, exchange, argue, do everything in a scholarly manner, academic manner. And that is happening. And I'm very happy to say that the response by students from all languages has been very encouraging. We have, then what we do, the seminar happens in English. Although Professor Kulkarni was, let's say, a pioneer of the German department. But we deliberately keep the language of the seminar as English so that everyone can speak and understand each other. And then we take something globally relatable, like migration. This year's theme, which will happen on 8th of February 2025, is Faces and Interfaces, the interaction between man and machine across literature
quite
and
relevant.
media.
Yes.
So do come on that seminar day.
Sure.
I'll invite you. Yeah.
Definitely. Dr. Acharya, you are the president of the Gyotha Society of India. So, can you tell us more about this society?
Yes. Again, that is something very close to my heart. I have been fortunate to be associated with this society for many years. Goethe Society, as such, Goethe Gesellschaft, as we call it in German, the, let's say, parent body is in Weimar, Goethe's town in Germany. But there are Goethe societies all across the world in various countries. There is a Goethe Society in Spain, Goethe Society in Italy, etc., etc. And one of the very, very inspiring and leading scholars of German studies in India, Professor Anil Bhatti, he founded this this Indian offshoot, so to say, of German organization of Goethe Society. And he did it in 1997. And then from then we have had multiple activities associated with this society. So there are absolutely respect TED veneered names like Professor Anil Bhatti, Professor Pawan Surana, Professor Shashwati Mazumdar, who have been president of this society. And I was given the chance to work from December 23. So what we do, it is a society not restricted to scholars of German studies. We work generally, let's say, to promote ideas of Goethe, and that is why the name is there. And Goethe, as you know, was a champion of, he was a polymath. He was an expert in so many fields, from physics to politics and public administration, not to speak of, not to forget the literature and language fields.
Right.
So we generally take a topic of, from the larger oeuvre of his worldview, and conduct an annual conference, which is very generously supported by German Academic Exchange Service, the DAAD. And we also organize a translation competition from German into regional languages of India, which is very important. And not into English, because English is generally, I mean, it happens without even our initiating it. So that is very well received by translators who are amateur translators, sometimes students, sometimes young teachers. And then the prizes are given with the support of some ex-members of Goethe Society. They sponsor the prizes. So it's again the same principle. We stay together to grow together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. Acharya, having explored both technical and literary translations, what do you think is the difference between the academia and the translation field?
Yes, after you asked this question, I kind of went back to those days where I didn't shy away from doing anything connected with German language, whether it was technical translation, doing, blue fluids and fuel cells. I remember the text that I used to do, I hardly used to understand what is happening there, but that taught me a lot. So I can answer this question now. Yes, technically there are differences. I mean, if you kind of just want to define what is a technical translation and why one does it, it is an assignment given by somebody. So you do not initiate it yourself. There is, of course, something called commercial motivation. One wants to earn some money out of it. There is no individual creativity expected. You are supposed to stay strictly within the framework of the text. There is no scope to voice your opinion, whether you like it, whether you don't like it. I mean, if I'm translating a text based, talking about AI and all that, there is no way I'm going to say how AI is going to harm or do good or whatever. So it is the scope is decided and defined by somebody else. And there is no audience. When I am translating, I do not even know what will happen to that text, whether it will be printed somewhere and compiled as, something which hardly gets any readership, etc., etc. I mean, I don't have to worry about it. I do it as an assignment given to me. Whereas the literary translation is slightly different. It is also assignment and commercial motivation, etc., etc. But then at least I can expect some audience. I have that, I have the commitment. I know I have to do the job with more responsibility because somebody is going to read it. And I hope that the somebody is not going to treat it as a translated text, because that somebody is reading because he doesn't understand, he or she, that particular language, what we call a source language. So my target language and source language, the understanding has to be very firm. So I think the academic field or the academic activities that we do, whether it is teaching, research projects, conferences, conference papers, writing individual articles in journals or books, if you go even ahead, then they are not assignment based. We do it because we want to do it. I mean, sometimes it can be an assignment, but then we accept only if it kind of aligns with your frame of work scope. So I
Right.
think literary translation comes kind of close to the academic thing, where you have to take into consideration the cultural nuances, where you have to go beyond the linguistic accuracy. Accuracy is not the only thing, whereas accuracy is the foremost thing in technical translations. Whereas literally, you can have that little leeway of
Liberty.
freedom, and you can actually be in your own skin, even as a literary translator. Which is, and these days, I'm very happy that the literary translators are getting their due. They are being mentioned to begin with on the cover,
Right.
which was not the case earlier. So, yes, there are three important activities connected with the language. Literary translations are becoming more and more important because they work as intercultural bridges, and that is important. So necessary also.
Yes. You have written numerous articles for various publications. So, could you share the subjects of a few with us?
Yes, why not? I mean, I'm really overwhelmed. Nobody has shown any interest in these things. Yes, I mean, basically, see, you write articles either um, as part of a volume or a compendium which is being published, edited with a thematic focus. So I have, for example, written on, I mean, three of my very favorite topics are either literature and film, or migration and literature and film, or Germany around the unification time and how the whole thing changed and reflected in literature and other media. And
Okay.
very recently, what was also accepted as my project for the Humboldt Research Fellowship is the depiction of marginalized women figures, and
Okay.
particularly completely marginalized and undervalued, like prostitutes and other marginal figures, women figures in society. So I would definitely mention one volume edited by Hans Richard Brittnacher,
Okay.
professor in Berlin, where I wrote about Berlin in cinema, Berlin in films,
Oh, okay.
or
Interesting. Yeah.
yes, or migration and how it affects films through my articles on the Turkish-born German filmmaker Fatih Akin.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and very recently, I have written something for a volume. The title was Animals in Front of the Camera. And I wrote something about snakes in Indian films, and particularly on a film Nagamandala, directed by Girish Karnad, and how snake as an
Okay.
animal becomes a very, very mythical and metaphorical animal
Yeah.
in
Right.
films.
Wow. Diverse topics, right?
Very diverse, very diverse. That is how one sustains the other pressures, by keeping the academic field as diverse and as varied as possible. Because that is how one grows. I mean, you keep reading, you keep writing, and while writing, you realize, oh, I need to read more.
Yes. Dr. Acharya, how would you emphasize the significance of languages and literature?
Immensely. I wish you had asked me this question in the beginning. I would have spoken the entire time only about this. I very, very frequently and deliberately and consciously say one thing in front of any audience that I can manage to address. Literature matters, and matters as a noun and as a verb. Literature matters as a noun, of course, then that encompasses everything that is literature. We have our famous three Gattungen, the categories, drama, lyric, and narrative literature, etc., etc. But literature, and I am talking about literature as a free expression and keeping it away from all other explosive types of literature, which are also possible, but I'm not talking about that. And why does it matter? Why literature matters? Why language matters? Because we have been having this conflict since centuries, that conflict between natural sciences and human sciences, including
Right.
social sciences, humanities, etc., etc. And you know what? Languages remain at the absolute lowest bottom of the ladder, whether they're Indian languages or foreign languages. And no one realizes that languages is the singular enabling tool that gives you an agency, that empowers you to function in whichever other profession you might be functioning. Even if you are a chemist, even if you are a physicist, even if you are a doctor, you need the language. You need language for communication. You need, and more we think about it, it is not just a basic survival tool. It is a tool that, if you take it seriously, gives you an identity. It gives you an identity which tells you that it is a very non-violent tool. By implicitly, it is non-violent. Because if I, for example, don't like something that is happening around me, what do I do? I'm not taking a real weapon in my hand and, moving around and causing terror and everything. I'm not interested in that. I will write, and people write, and those who write with this hope that someone will read. And that is causing so much positivity, creating so much positivity, and giving us hope. So language and literature are important, if you ask me, in one sentence, because they give you hope.
Yes.
And
Wow.
that, I just hope that, I mean, we can just go on and on. That is the only medium that will help us survive in this jungle of gadgets. I mean, I'm aware of the power of social media and power of digital apps and digital platforms and everything. I know that this interview, for example, is going to be a part of that larger network. But mindless use of gadgets and mindless use of digital media will not take you anywhere. And language will be the only thing. And that is why I congratulate you once again for initiating this language talks and looking out for people who are doing something in languages and reaching out to them. Thank you so much, Lalita.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. You have 3 books to your credit. So, do you plan to write more?
I do. And
Great.
very soon I will be retiring from this official profile, so to say, and that will definitely give me more time. So I do plan to write. Yes.
Wow. Looking forward.
Yes. Thank you.
This was a lovely discussion. And it is impossible to, talk about your work in a single small interview. But this was just an introduction. So I hope to do a long interview with you some other time.
Thank you. I will be privileged and looking forward to it, because that gives you another chance to, talk and share your things and also discover what all you are doing. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye, Lalita.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me in conversation with Dr. Swati Acharya. You have a good day and keep watching Language Talks. Thank you. Bye bye.